Yeah, we're going to start the last session.
And we'll, I'll finish early, and we have an exercise that we'll do at the end. And if I didn't get, actually I just got in one group the pen drive, and so you can bring it up. We'll take a short break before the exercise. So using actually in marketing qualitative methods, one example is the Gillette Guard razor in India. It's a Procter & Gamble product, and it's in North America, it has a dominant market share of 80%. And they almost give away the razor because they want people to buy replacement, which costs $4 each. And they had a tiny market share in India, and it's an expensive razor compared to other alternatives. And so they developed a new razor that was less expensive. They thought that would be more successful in the Indian market. And they tested it among the Indian graduate students at Columbia University in New York. And they said, this is a great razor, I like shaving with it, it's comfortable, it doesn't cut me, and I appreciate it a lot. And they took it to India, and it failed miserably. What's wrong with that research paradigm, or that research test? Anything wrong? Yeah.
The Indians who are studying in the US, they are comparatively come from the well-off families. So the value for money for them will be different from the value for money for majority of Indians.
Okay.
It's tough to penetrate in that respect.
And that's a big part of it. So they don't have the same financial circumstances.
Even if they have for personal grooming,
right.
that mental account is not yet ready.
Okay.
Especially for men.
Account for personal grooming.
Yeah.
You're talking about most Indians now.
Yeah, for most Indian students.
Okay. Anything else wrong with testing it with the graduate students at Columbia? Yeah.
How Indians shave. So usually most of the population don't have running water in the tap.
Yeah.
And they, shaving inside the houses is also not allowed. So they have to go out of the house with only one hand available, and the other hand, as we can see, with the mirror.
Yeah, so they're not standing in front of the mirror with hot and cold running water. Rather, for many, they're shaving outdoors with a handheld mirror, maybe a cup of water, or they're using a barber who uses a straight edge razor, getting it as a service, something like that. And this is with an old school technology where you undo the razor and drop it in the two-sided razor blade and screw it shut again. But they also found, they went to India and did some research, as we'll see in a moment, and they also found that many Indian men, especially in lower social class, don't shave every day, so they have a lot of beard, they have a lot of stubble, and they, with the cold water and so forth, they get a lot of cuts and nicks, and so a lot of dissatisfaction with the current old school technology. So they went to India, came to India with an ethnographic team, and they brought along some Indian engineers that were here in India. They did depth interviews, observations, shop-alongs, where you shop with people buying shaving equipment. They visited people in their homes, and they did test shaves in situ, in the natural place where people would do their shaving. And they developed the Gillette Guard costing about 3% of the Fusion Pro, much cheaper. It's simpler, few moving parts, large safety comb, easy to clean without running water. It initially cost 15 rupees. The blades were 1 rupee. And as a result, they got an incredible 50% market share within 6 months. Now it's fallen since, and they've had more competition since. But they did some other things. It was an India-centric innovation, and it was advertised that way. They realized that it was going to be sold through small-scale retailers. They used ads with Indian actors, Bollywood actors. And then they rolled this out to China and Africa. It wasn't just for India, although it was developed here. And now they're targeting developed markets because they want to have an innovation that's not going to be undercut by a disruptive innovation at another lower price. And so they've sort of taken this all the way around back to North America where they started out. And so it is an Indian innovation. This is another example that I talked about before where I didn't show you some of the details. This was looking at a village that got, well, I think it's in the next slide. Does anyone know the village of Yanta? It's in West Bengal somewhere, but it's small. It's only 2,400 people. Divided by caste, service relationships are less important than market relationships, however, in determining the social structure of the village. Many people commuted daily. There's a larger city, Vishnupur, about 12 kilometers away. The city has good roads, but relatively few cars and tractors. 74% average literacy rate, higher for men. They have a post office, but the last person to write a letter was in 2007, so that's a dying phenomenon. They have recent large-scale immigration to cities, at least part immigration and part migration rather, and part commuting to the city. And before cell phones, women marrying into the village had to write to relatives or visit them, or go to town to use the phone. This was a village where electricity, television, and telephones came all at once, leapfrogged rather than sequential variation. The Indian teledensity is enormously increased. This was in 2015, and it's higher now. The methods, I guess we talked about. They also had people, this was a woman, and she had people at she started in 2005, and then she came back in 2015, just after the innovations. And had people keep phone diaries. Who were they calling? What was it about? And so forth. But there were many Chinese smartphones initially, which many even low-income people could afford. The phone, if not many minutes of internet on a smartphone. And we talked about some of these impacts previously, I think. Mobile campaigning by BJP and other parties. The impacts were different by intersectional groups, different age, different education, different genders. And so college-educated men and women could use the phone independently. Otherwise, it was young wives and children who might be the experts in the family on the technology. Less educated workers and farmers, largely illiterate and ignorant in Roman numerals, needed help. Entrepreneurs came in, downloaded music, films, and ringtones for them. Education and wealth were more important than caste and gender. Small-scale businesses from conscious sellers to chicken farmers could extend and keep in contact with their clientele, check product availability, order stock, and compare wholesale prices. So it made a big difference. You're not seeing what I'm seeing here. I'm not seeing what you're seeing. So it had some impact. That's what we were just looking at. Other impacts, car ownership didn't really increase, but the number of cars increased because people were able to use other people's cars to transport people to the city for medical care and other sorts of activities. Agricultural produce could be sold by phone for better prices. Most phones were purchased to stay in touch with relatives, reduce the number of visits back home. This was the medical care part. Uneven benefits, the wealthy benefiting more. Women staying more connected and becoming more empowered, resulting in more love marriages and having more voice in wedding negotiations. So that was a second sort of study. I won't talk about, we've already gone through this study that was looking at differences by class in terms of sensory preferences and the publications and the techniques for research and the findings. And we already looked at this one doing style in Hyderabad. We looked at this one, which was in an African context, Ivory Coast, and the dance of the logos. and the bluff, and we looked at the Guinness beer dome. And we talked about this one, which is another technique of giving the natives the camera. So that's really all I had in terms of content. I'd like to take a half an hour now to do an exercise involving the use of, you may know it for over-the-top techniques, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, there are a bunch of these. And let me just show you a video first. I think you're probably familiar with this. And these are now a year or two old, but this is someone talking about this set of availability. Oops. I've learned my lesson now.
इंडिया में इस समय 57 OTT एप्स और स्ट्रीमिंग एप्स मौजूद हैं। क्या आप बिलीव कर सकते हैं इतने बड़े नंबर को? क्योंकि 57 इतनी ज्यादा एप्स होती कि शायद इनमें से कई सारे के बारे में आप लोगों को बिल्कुल भी पता नहीं। और ये बात भी बिल्कुल फैक्ट हो जाती है कि आने वाले समय में इतनी सारी एप्स में से काफी सारी एप्स आने वाले समय में बंद भी हो जाएंगी, कुछ खत्म हो जाएंगी, कुछ आपस में मर्ज हो जाएंगी। लेकिन कुछ ऐसी एप्स हैं जो यहाँ पे इंडिया में शायद हम सबको अपनी फेवरेट बन के रह जाएंगी और हमेशा आपको देखने को मिलती रहेंगी। कुछ इन्हीं के बारे में बात करते हैं। सबसे पहले बात करते हैं इंडिया की तरह से सबसे बड़ी OTT ऐप जो बन सकती थी, बनी नहीं, वो होगी जियो हॉटस्टार। अब जियो और हॉटस्टार की कहानी तो आप लोगों को पता है कि क्या चल रही थी कि जियो की पेरेंट कंपनी रिलायंस और उनकी कंपनी वायकॉम में स्टार इंडिया के साथ मर्ज हो रही थी, जिसके अंदर स्टार के जो चैनल्स होते हैं, जो उनका हॉटस्टार होता है, सब कुछ एक ही अम्ब्रेला के अंदर आ जाता है। जिस कारण से जो रिलायंस है वो आपकी ओन कर रही कलर्स टीवी चैनल को भी, स्टार प्लस को भी, जियो सिनेमा को भी, हॉटस्टार को भी। हॉटस्टार जियो सिनेमा दोनों के बीच में एक मर्जर होना था, लेकिन इस टाइप की चीजें आपको देखने को नहीं मिली। और मेरे को लगता है ये बात ठीक है, क्योंकि अगर दोनों मर्ज हो जाती तो ऐसा नहीं होता कि इनका जो सब्सक्रिप्शन होता है वो उतना ज्यादा डेवलप हो जाता, क्योंकि दोनों की एक ऐसी ऑडियंस है जो कॉमन है और वो दोनों के लिए यहाँ पर पैसा देती है। और वो अगर एक हो जाते तो हो सकता है कई सारे यूजर्स उनके हाथ से निकल जाते हैं। इस वजह से शायद ज्यादा पैसा बनाने के लिए उन्होंने दोनों को ओपन रखा हुआ है। हॉटस्टार के बारे में बात करें तो उनका फ्री सब्सक्रिप्शन भी आता है, लोग फ्री में भी कंटेंट देख सकते हैं। जियो सिनेमा पर भी कुछ चीजें यहाँ पे अवेलेबल है फ्री में।
Okay, maybe that's enough. You get the idea. There's a bunch of these. I think you probably know that there have been some mergers since, but nevertheless, lots of available services. So the exercise is to look at some data, and I'm trying to keep it simple. There's just 14 quotes that are on the data. Is it you that I downloaded this to? Who? You did, yeah. And so it's probably easier if the others of you do have a pen drive. Otherwise, maybe you could email to one person from each of the three groups the data that I sent you.
There's no internet. You can copy.
Use
Okay, if you don't mind, that's gracious of you to share. And so if one person in each group could download this, that's sufficient for them to do the analysis. And the idea is for these 14 quotes, imagine that they're a part of a bigger data set. They are a part of a bigger data set. This was a research study. And so you're seeing one quote, but assume that it represents a larger group of people that might have that same sentiment. What sorts of segments in the market can you infer are there, either in terms of the type of people or the type of content that they prefer, or their suggestions for how OTT could be better, how it could better serve their needs, their desires. And so once your group gets the data, which I guess is going backwards up this way, then begin as a group to analyze what you make of these data. With that in mind, in terms of describing the Indian market and in terms of describing how it could be better served. Is that clear for the assignment? It's making sense of a small group of data and assuming that it's more representative of a larger group. So your group has the data?
Yes.
Okay, and you pass it back to, are you in the same group? Yeah. Okay, super.
Yes.
Okay, who needs the data? And who has the data right now?
She is sending to everyone.
Oh, she's texting to everyone, okay. Good.
कंप्लीट होगा लाइन मारो पीछे 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 पीछे
And you can consider do these as groups or within the
Somebody else
group.
try to write. One person from each. Has everybody received? All the groups?
Yes, sir.
Sir, we have received it. All the groups have received.
Okay, good. Go to it. See what you can make of this data. In terms of segments or improvements in the OTT market. Was there another question back here?
So what do we do with this?
Okay, try to find market segments as suggested by this data that either are being served well or not being served well. Recommendations that you would have for how to better serve the market or over the top video and what you can come up with in terms of recommendations.
Can you come again, sir? Kindly.
कितनी बार एक्टिव कर रहे हैं?
आपको मैंने पूछा ही नहीं ना, आपको तो मैंने पूछा ही नहीं ना भाई, आपको तो पूछा ही नहीं, अब लिखते रहेंगे। चलिए पहले हो गया ना। हाँ एक ही रहते हैं, देखिए 14
Sir, can you repeat once again, please?
Sure. So you've got some data here. This is supposed representative data from this qualitative study that interviewed people. And in trying to analyze the data, you're looking for implications based on these research findings. So the implications could be in terms of segments that are underserved perhaps that need more attention. It could be in terms of improving the services. What do people like? What do people dislike about the current services that they're receiving? And so if you came up with this data, and this is raw data, how would you make sense of it in terms of making recommendations to management of service providers in this area? Okay? And again, don't assume that this is their only data, assume that this is some representative data from a larger group of people.
Qualitative appreciation in terms of this person findings.
वेलबींग को प्रमोट करना है, प्रमोशन ऑफ वेलबींग।
Takes care of their mental
When sustainability have an animal well-being.
And the police community that are in the social media. What is learning? Learning is informative. This video also talks about the community where they can find the prompts from what new coming. What is new coming? And the solution is the community. This can be the reason. Fifth is realistic. Sixth also talked about realistic informative learning. Now, when I am talking about realistic, seventh is talking about realistic. That is the reflection of the society and the community. Inclusive, that is, as per the new law, that is the reflection of the society. That this is recognized by the society. It should be recognized by the society. So it talks about realistic. That is one parameter. इसी में होगा inclusion. Eight is biopic. That is also informative. What about the society? You can say society heroes, unsung heroes. Now nine talks about the control on the content for the kids. That is control ethical issues. It should be control content because you are recommending the management to bring up control content to for kids. This should be the control content. For adults, this is content. Then also talks about information. This is the step. 11 talked about also yes. So I am yes, mental health and physical health. Right? So they are talking about the source about their well-being. So another parameter it talks about the well-being, not addiction. That is well-being. 13 also talks about information, that is technology. That is also skill development. You can talk about the skill development. It's well-being. Well-being is based on 12 the top short sustainability. नहीं, sustainability is a strategy. Ethical is long content. The one I'm talking, that is long content means short content, but that should be important. It should be realistic. This is one important. Strategy is but the management for इसमें करो PLC में डालो 7 piece that is service क्या करना है
Best example of this which I personally like is the
related क्या है प्रोडक्ट में हम बोलेंगे इंफॉर्मेटिव
more realistic, pragmatic.
now let's
We'll wrap up in about 10 minutes and have you step on.
social media और इसको कहते हैं promotion में digital broad is digital के बारे में तो कुछ नहीं बोला है
Real life heroes of the
physical evidence physical evidence it should be available in all
restrictions, age restrictions. Yes. Age restrictions.
What the restriction to industry? Your company last names, no?
It is an impact example. Exactly, it is an impact. It almost
इसके बारे में with respect to this with respect to the master rise or expansion we will talk about the strategy of data promotion distribution of the layers in terms of space. इसके बारे में how the company dealing with the customer, process of dealing with the customer. The company, not from the customer point of view, but from the company point of view, you have to build that strategy. So meeting process के बारे में तो आपको मालूम नहीं है। यही तो ना process yes, looking at average दो तीन
Sir, can you start?
About 5 minutes.
Some ethnography, some Indian transcripts, some Is everyone done? Okay, so one person per group can present again your findings, and this group is going to go first.
Hello. So with the data we have come to a little analysis. so mainly in OTT platforms, what happens, there are a lot of content, and we, according to our mood, we go and we surf, but it becomes sometimes monotonous what to watch and what not to, and it leads to fatigue and everything. So we end up watching nothing sometimes. So with the data which we saw, we find that customization is important for different demographic profiles. Like for kids, there are people who are saying that there should be a separate section for kids because of the content that is present online. Parents don't want kids to watch everything that is present. It should be some limitation according to their age, and also there should be in OTT platforms a kind of community channel where there should be engagement through conversations, making the show more popular. Because if there is a show such as the example which you have given today, like Big Boss, so when people are talking more about what is happening in the show, the engagement level would be more higher, and also through the data which we saw, there are people who are looking for content that is more sense making rather than the mindless entertainment which they used to get. And nowadays there are wave of in the censorship, so the content which are more taboo related are also freely running in OTT platforms. So there are some sort of inclusivity that is getting promoted because they are on the screen seeing themselves, their daily lives issues are getting discussed, so they are getting more connected through this. And at last, I would say there are people who are discussing about the screen time addictions that usually happens when we start watching anything. So they're looking for some mental health experts, and they want some sort of content that talks about the well-being, and mindful consumptions is needed. So we were also discussing, me and my colleague, that it's so ironic that we are looking for screen time addictions, mental health, and we want to watch even that thing online or on the screen itself. So that's why ironic. And also people are seeing heroes as in who is a messenger that represent them, and they feel a sort of a powerful in terms of the screen they are, in terms of the projection they are seeing through them. So these are all various themes that we could find out through that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next group is coming. Oh, okay, you're third.
Good morning all. So we have restricted our analysis within the data itself, the kind of code we have got. We have not blended our imagination into it. So first of all, we have followed the process like open coding, selective coding, and Excel coding. That is the way we have followed, and we also tried to, because we are in marketing, we don't believe in stories, we believe in direction. So that we have actually tried to crisp and narrow down the fact. So first of all, we have identified the open codes. There are several open codes we have identified, like short and simple, user experience, like POV matters a lot, like the kind of we have find child lock. There are so many open codes we have identified, and after that what we have done, that is in selective coding, we have identified that the majorly the focus is on few of the key areas. The first one is the genre specific content. So we will come to that. Genre specific content, the people love drama, romance, but it should be short, simple, it should not drag so much, it should be very inspiring. On the other side, there is also the content format. It is not the genre, but it's also the format. The people are looking forward to some of the content which has the ending. Like some of the things are not ending, it is again energizing the continuity or those kind of excitement, prolonged excitement, it is not that much promoted. Another very important thing is the quality content, and it is the content which would be compact, that we have already talked about. Another very important thing is that the Indian people are also looking forward to modern content with the inclusivity. Like we have already seen the LGBTQ and those kind of thoughts are also there. So out of those second order coding, we have identified that it can be related with the AIO segmentation process, or AIO, that is activity, interest and opinion specific. Like OTT positioning has to be there. Other than that, it would be difficult. The first focus and activity wise, the people needed to be connected with the social, cultural and entertainment should be blended properly, and the format should be not in the form of only entertainment, it should also contain the information and the inspirations. Second thing is, we have identified the very prominent one is the socio-cultural blend. In India, any OTT has to work that should mix with, like there may be the global culture, there may be the global content, but it should be at par with the Indianized way. Like we have already seen, though it is observed, like the people want to see the content in their own language. That is not there in the data, but we can have that sort of thing. The localization of the content matters the most. And the third area that is based on AIO is the responsible OTT. Like some of the OTT we can see, though it is not in the data, but we can relate to. Some of the, if we go to any university campus, because last 15 years I am teaching, we didn't have that much of encounter of foul words. The students were not using that much of foul words. But after the popularity of the OTT platform, the students are also saying the boys foul word. So that is actually a common thing. So the people, they are saying, but they are not appreciating. So that is not there in the data. That is my imagination. It is not imagination I can relate to. But the socially responsible, as it is said, the mindfulness. So that part has to be looked into. So three basic part: content, quality of content, format of content. That is number one. Number two is the social cultural connect, and third one is the responsiveness or responsive. Screening. Responsibility has to be there towards sustainability. Well, thank you.
Sir, one thing we have missed out in our group. So can I?
Sure. Well, no, he's been waiting.
No. He may continue.
Is it okay? All right. Sure.
Sir, we forgot to state the strategies because I have written that thing. So I miss out to give her. So in terms of, if you have asked us to tell the strategies to provide to the company, So we have linked the P's, marketing mix, with the information on the boards we have gathered. And in terms of product, we have suggested that it should be informative, realistic, and reflection of the society. So for the product P, and for promotion, it should be in terms of social media, that is creation of community. And the last P we have targeted is the place, in terms of that is you can say the portal or the you can say platform that can be installed in any mobile phone. So these are the 3 P's we will suggest to the company in terms of as a marketing strategy. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, participants. OTT, which we call it as over-the-top platforms, that predominantly came into Indian diaspora since 2015-16, and during the COVID period, we saw its influence to a large scale. If we just go back to a little 200 years ago, starting from the Elizabethan period to the post-dramatic period, if we talk about, we used to have street plays. Those were actually the reflection of the society. Similarly, now what we have seen, observed and felt when we talk about OTT, this is the reflection of what is happening in and around the society, be it in education, be it in criminal aspects, be it in societal aspects. Now, coming back to the coding part, if we talk about the most of the particular facets or the aspects of the coding part, if we talk about, people always love to see something which is short, crisp and terse, being explained in a succinct manner rather than in an elaborative manner. Now, people also get influenced by different recommendations and acceptance. For example, if somebody has watched a web series in Netflix and it is getting viral and we all are getting attracted or attached to that, we would love to see as soon as possible. So recommendations, acceptance do play a very vital role. So peer viewing is actually one code which we have thought of, and of course the content should be very pragmatic and sagacious, because what we are seeing is that something which is being projected now should not only be reflective of what is happening in the society, but rather what is going to happen in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years. So if mature viewers end up watching those kind of content, that will be a reflection. Many a times we think that OTTs, as sir was also discussing, that OTTs have a negative impact on Gen Z, or now we can call the generation Alpha, which are born after 2024 or so, but it can also have a very positive impact. So one coding which we saw is, one coding which we actually demonstrated is the role model or the real life heroes. Like during COVID times, there were demonstrations of the great two Indian epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana. So the reflections, again, Mahabharata and Ramayana shows two sides of the same coin. You have Duryodhana on the one side as well as Arjun on the other, right? So reflection of positivity as well as negativity. So real life demonstrations is one coding. One thing which I believe my earlier two groups have missed out or might have overlooked is that because of OTT, we end up suffering from attention deficit syndromes. So because of binge watching or because of just an OCD, obsessive compulsive desire to watch something. Let's say, as I give an example, that I want to watch a web series and want to end it up by today. No matter I have a class tomorrow, no matter I have something to do. So I may end up doing something and eventually the next day I may suffer from ADS, which we call it attention deficit syndrome, which is a factor which is prominent between the age group of 15 to 45 as per a research. Now if we talk about the other codings, people love more creative contents, and as my other colleagues have also demonstrated, that many a times it is very nagging, like they will make you watch a web series in the month of January and you have to wait till the month of July to watch the next part. So that is prolonged, and that actually takes away the creativity part to a substantial extent. So these are the major observations which we could do from this. Thank you.
there one more group or is that everyone? One more group.
Good afternoon, everyone. Most of the points are already said, but still I would like to just highlight few points.
Throughout these 14 reviews, what we have observed was most of the people are more inclined towards watching non-fictional content, which is more realistic in nature and which is more short and crisp. And there were some people who wanted to watch non-fictional content as well, but those were, again, it was more subjective basis. And also we could see that people complained about the screen time, all these things. So, and these analysis we did not code, we did not use any technical things. It is just reading and then just observing what is there. So this is what we have observed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, good job, and interesting findings, interesting conclusions as well. And I think mostly you bracketed out what you knew personally and relied on the data, but there's always the temptation to bring in what you know or what you have observed as well. These were the researchers' conclusions, and I'll show you the paper in case you want to refer to it. That consumers are uncomfortable with sexual content, violence, misogyny, and morality of OTT entertainment. That secondly, Indian customers want a balance between international and local content. Now, of course, we haven't presented all of the data that led to these conclusions. Third, that consumers seek original vernacular content that is local, catering to Indian culture on the OTT platforms. Fourth, that consumers are more interested in the morality of entertainment storytelling, and morality did come in some of the courses that you had. Fifth, that consumers want independent OTT film franchises, not necessarily the big one. Sixth, that consumers want short form content. I assume that's the TikTok sort of format of the successors. Seventh, that collectivist feedback is important for making choices, people together, having ratings and evaluations. Eighth, that reflections of social trends should be presented in an entertaining manner, easy to digest. And ninth, that learning through new experiences and entertainment is significant for viewers. Do these findings and your findings make sense? In other words, do you think this is good data? Are these representative in terms of your experience?
Yes.
Okay. So here we're getting some things that are perhaps relatively few surprises, but nevertheless some directions to go, some things that could be better, some improvements. If you want to look at the paper, this is the reference Journal of Visual and Performing Arts, volume 5-1 in 2024, and those are the page numbers. So I'll leave this up in case you want to watch it. So in other words, we're looking at, in this class as a whole, not just implications for marketing academics, but rather implications for businesses as well. And there are market research agencies in India that specialize in qualitative research or that do both qualitative and quantitative. And as in many cases, it's often industry that's ahead, that is keeping up with the technologies, is keeping up with the possibilities of doing qualitative research before it becomes more pervasive in academia. We think of teaching at the university level as teaching things that people can go out and apply, but the opposite happens as well, that academia learns from studying what practitioners are already knowing. And so don't assume that it's just academia that is generating all the knowledge. There's a huge knowledge industry out there. And that's all I had for today for this session. Are there comments, questions on anything that we've gone over in the course before we break for lunch and presentation? Everyone's happy? Okay. All right, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed teaching this class.
Just take them from yeah.
One,